Hello everybody. I'm just doing some final adjustments because I'm experimenting as always. Never stop experimenting. I feel like the mic is a little hot, so let me just try and bring that down a bit. Peter picked a pickled pepper. Still a bit hot. Hang on. Ba-da-bum-bum. That seems good. That seems good. Okay. Up a little bit more, maybe. I can see a few of you are joining me. Please say hello in the chats. I'm currently broadcasting to YouTube, Twitch, and new today, Periscope. It's still going, and Facebook as well. So wherever you're joining me from, say hello. And yeah, we'll get started very, very soon. Okay. I am attempting to get a slightly new setup, and it didn't quite work. I won't show you behind the veil. It'll spoil the surprise. I also have a light over here that I'm still figuring out. Last time I really used it was before the clocks changed, and it was a lot lighter outside, and now basically the only light I have is light. I have a lamp over here that's very warm, and a lamp over there that's very white, and they're not quite working together yet. I'll have to figure that out later. But in the meantime, let's begin. Welcome to the Solo Adventurer with me, Chris Chinchilla. You can find much more about me at chrischinchilla.com, and much more about the Solo Adventurer at these various, I can never quite get the orientation correct. Where are we? Everything's back to front. No. Oh, Lord. Anyway, in a corner somewhere, you can see the YouTube channel if you want to subscribe there, and you can see Twitch if you want to subscribe there. So every Solo Adventurer, I play a solo roleplay game, storytelling game, interactive fiction, maybe board games at some point soon, but that requires a little bit more setup. I'm not quite ready for that yet. And today, I am playing part 2 of Creatures Such as We, by Linea Glasser. This is she describes it as a sort of moon romance. And last session, I introduced my character. I'm trying to remember what I was now. I think I was a middle-aged man. That was it. Oh no, middle-aged, all the genders is what I think I said. I have to remember. Actually, the application remembers for you, so thankfully I don't have to remember. And I was playing a video game, and then the creators of the video game turned up on the moon for a tour of the moon. And I showed them a brief tour, and then we got to lunchtime, and that's where we left off last time. So, I'll switch to the other view here. Let's make that, whoa, that's gigantic. Let's make that text nice and large. There we go. So I'll recap where we got to last time, and we'll see how far we get in the next 40 to 45 minutes. You smile as bright as you can go, and that's the end of the tour. You up the chipper to get everyone's attention. I'm sure you're all hungry. Let's have some real space food, By now, none of them seem all that concerned about Grant being sick. Oh, that's it. Now, someone was also being ill when they arrived. That was it. In fact, they seem perfectly at ease. A triumph you celebrate completely internally. You usher them into the brightly lit dining hall and then dramatically reach for a nearby switch. Normally we keep this lit with only the minimal accent lights. You'll see why in a second. You flip the lights off and on cue, they all gasp at the glass ceiling above. In the darkness, the universe is beautifully lit unlike anything you can see on Earth. They remain fixated on the spectacle for well over a minute. This is the first group you've had in a while to actually take the time to appreciate and enjoy the amazing view. You even get swept up yourself, wiping away a tear. Just when you thought you'd gotten used to it all, the sheer beauty of the universe teases out from you the first real smile you've had all morning. And now we go to lunchtime. Oh. I wasn't expecting that. I should have done this earlier. Okay, well this is fun watching. I did not expect that. So halfway, I guess, during the game, it asks you to purchase. Or you wait for 4 minutes. That's interesting. Okay. I guess I could. Let's sort that out. That was unexpected. I should have maybe checked that earlier. That somewhat ruins the okay. Okay, that was, sorry about that. That was completely unexpected. It's been one of those days of fun and games. It would have been possibly good to say that at the beginning of the game. Maybe. Okay, we're back. I've just sent $4 to Linea's way. Okay. You direct the guests to the 2 large booth tables in the room. They divide up and offer them all lunch day 1 menus. Repli meat pastes, freeze-dried cubes, food sticks, astronaut ice cream, and even Tang. Not being American, I don't really know what Tang is, but okay. You explain the options to the tourists. These are all selections based off traditional spacefaring meals. Back then, they had to design meals that could be easily transported, stayed fresh for a long time, and didn't clog the air filters when consumed. These were the results. It's definitely a unique experience that I think none of you will forget. You don't understand how tourists eat the junk and actually enjoy it. Andreas skeptically turns over his menu. And what's your favourite meal from this menu? Diana pipes up. Oh yes, I'm having a hard time deciding. What's good? They all turn to you expectantly. Now, I actually even have an audience here. I could ask. So, the sealed fish and dried gnocchi, the dried tortellini, cubed nut paste mix, or the tubed stroganoff.
Gnocchi.
I'm getting a gnocchi from the room. Sealed fish is the bit that's throwing me off the gnocchi. So maybe we'll go for the tortellini instead to avoid the sealed fish. All right. You sell it as worth a try. Andreas smiles broadly. Well, then you should join us. You deserve a break every now and then, don't you? Diana agrees. Oh, yes. I'd actually enjoy your insight if you don't mind. Sit down for a meal with the designers? Technically not breaking protocol, and you'd have the chance to ask them about the endings of creatures. Sure. You breathe out in what you hope can be interpreted as a neutral, pleasant tone. There are 2 tables. Lead Andreas pulls over programmer Sadri and artist Ren, while writer Diana and QA James exchange knowing grins and sit down at their own table. Now, I want to know about the story. So I guess I should speak to the writer. So, Diana and James. Diana greets you. So tell me, are you a gamer at all? Can you even get video games up here? James cheerfully clarifies for you. She's going to pump you for a fresh perspective on her creature such as we story, one untainted by some hard words to pronounce. One untainted by societal contact. Diana scowls good-naturedly as James. Aren't you curious? He doesn't miss a beat. Of course I'm curious. Wouldn't it be awesome for the game to be played on the moon? So my options are casually mention you enjoy it, enthusiastically tell that you loved it, casually mention that you beat it, enthusiastically tell them that you beat it. I can go for casual. Brush it off, no big deal. You don't want to appear over-eager. Diana pleasantly stares off into space. The need for narrative, for engaging in stories is universal, even out here on the edge of civilization. She seems so touched that you haven't the heart to launch into just how commercialized the edge of civilization actually is. Perceptively enough, James does it for you. This is a tourist destination. It's not exactly as remote as they want you to think it is. He buries his face in the menu. Diana shrugs it off and then turns back to you. So tell me, what did you like about it the most? The beautiful world, the seamless combat, the gripping story. I love it all, but can you explain the ending? Should we just get right to the point? Maybe we should lead up to that. Say the gripping story. Diana can't help but blush at your praise. Oh, you'll be the end of me. I still think there were things I could have introduced or dealt with better, or more options I could have offered, but I'm glad others enjoyed it. James rolls his eyes. We were already pushing the limits of our budget as it was. Diana then turns to you directly and deliberately draws out. How about... Why don't you tell us what you thought of the ending? It's an interesting ending. I didn't get the ending. Are there multiple endings? I might go for it was an interesting ending. But before you can actually reply, a steward opens the door and leads Grant, this was the sick visitor, into the room. He takes a moment to be appropriately awed at the ceiling before noticing you waving him over to the empty space at your table. He slides on in with a sheepish smile and then warms up immediately. Oh, hey, sorry about earlier. One shot fixed me up and now I'm starving. What's there to choose from? You push him to a menu. Diana points to part of it. Fellan recommended the pasta. You wince. None of it's really good enough to recommend. James gives you a knowing wink at your discomfort. Grant buries his head, trying to not look disappointed at the selection. I'll have to think about it. Go ahead, continue your conversation. He grins sweetly and then returns to the options. James picks back up. Yeah, so tell us, what were you saying about the ending? Basically the same choices. I might as well keep pushing down the same path, I guess. Diana gives up fiddling with the water bag and turns to you. Well, it's definitely something that a lot of players are talking about, that ending, but I don't like to dictate to the players what was the right ending or the wrong ending or what should have happened. I let them decide that. James contributes helpfully. You know, the whole story mode mechanic was specifically designed to help with that. You should have seen the test plans for that too. The art, the mechanics, the level flow all had to be tested multiple times on these progressively shortened level set pieces. Grant leans in thoroughly, delighted to finally be able to hold a normal conversation. I've been thinking about that a lot, actually. The fans' reactions to the ending. Certainly I have an interest in a financially successful game, but even I know that there's more to life than money. If we consider games as art, then does the art's meaning belong to the artist or to the viewer? Now, this is getting a bit meta now, isn't it? The artist, the viewer, both equally. Anyone watching along have any ideas? I'm leaning towards both equally. Okay, I go for both equally. Grant snorts out a laugh. How diplomatic of you. You might have a future as a corporate consultant. He winks at you. Lovely. James wrinkles his nose distastefully. They can't both be valid. They contradict. One of them has to be correct. Diana holds out her hand in a halting gesture. Oh, wait. She spits out rapid fire. Maybe the ability to maintain contradictions is art's true strength, like the impossible geometry of Lovecraft. It's real with the imagination, or perhaps beyond it. Reality can't do that. Ooh, this is getting very deep now. Oops, sorry. I just meant that each version is meaningful in its own way. I meant that each version has the potential to be the best representation. This is all a bit too meta for me. I don't really know where to take this. Ability to maintain contradicts is art's true strength. Yes. Each version is meaningful in its own way. I think the top one, in my humble opinion. Grant nods his head in half agreeing. I think that's a really interesting way to frame things. Of course, copyright lawyers would have to disagree with you. They're real sharks. James pushes around his fork. How do you know which version of elegy you're talking about? At this point, elegy could be a rock or a number or a pool of water. I still don't think that this helps. Diana cocks her head. I am still thinking that there's something to be said about allowing for multiple viewpoints. After all, I know of plenty of remakes that are better than the original. Wow, this is getting very meta. I think there's something to be said about the art of having feared. I think there's something to be said about public and veto power. I mean, the public is kind of true, but also we know that the public isn't necessarily always correct. I think a game is made to be played and interactive with, so I think number 2 I'm leaning towards. Yeah. They nod in agreement. Bluffed my way through that. You glance and notice that tourists are finishing up with food. You're stabbed by a quick moment of panic. You're wasting time chatting with clients. You should be working. The conversation's lull affords you an opportunity to resume duties. You reapply your professional facial configuration and cheerfully make your escape. Well, thanks for inviting me to join. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to go check on everyone's luggage and we'll meet up after the free hour. Oops. You arrive at the staterooms. Only half of the rooms have suitcases in front of them. Shit, there'd better be more on the way, since the shuttle's already on its return trip. You grind your teeth. You shouldn't have to be dealing with this. You're supposed to only have to deal with tourist relations. Well, considering that all the luggage hasn't arrived yet, it's probably good that you're getting involved. Things always feel like they're slipping around here, but it always feels awkward speaking up about it since you have the fewest responsibilities. Check the luggage here first. Check the unloading area radio steward. I think I will check the unloading area. I have this stuff missing. You bound quickly through the passages. Could there be a problem? Could some of the luggage have gotten left accidentally on the shuttle? You'll be skinned alive if that happened. Even though it's not really your responsibility, you should have been overseeing the unloading. Halfway there, you open an airlock to see a steward nonchalantly pushing along a second batch of luggage. Well, that's a relief. Still, why is he so late? This should have been done 20 minutes ago. How to be. Professionally chastise, politely inquire, offer to help, take over. I'm not taking over. This is beneath me, as we've already ascertained. Let's politely inquire. Cutting a bit close, was there a problem? You try to keep it as light as you can, hoping it doesn't come off harshly. His eyes deaden and he pauses to sigh. Yeah, sure. I just didn't realise how late it was getting, but it was the last batch of it and I'm nearly there. You wince. He resents you. But you get paid a whole heck of a lot to make sure things are running smoothly for the guests. You escort him the rest of the way with a walk-run pace that you hope appropriately encourages him to speed up. The two of you sort through the remaining luggage and you sigh with relief as you drop the last piece down. He pushes the cart away and tips a finger from his forehead. You wave him off, just grateful that it's over. Thinking quickly, you do one last cursory pass on the luggage, fixing one piece was in the wrong spot. There. You lean up against a bulkhead and take a deep breath. Just as the group rounds a corner, You lean against a bulkhead with just enough time to perk up in anticipation of the group's arrival. You adjust your clothes and you smile. You just need to give a few quick words before letting them go unpack their things, but you usually offer your service if they want any help. Do you emphasize your offer to help anyone in particular? Now, this implies that I can remember the conversations well enough. I haven't been writing the things down. Passion is infectious. Her mind has a dark allure. Her quirks are endearing. His sharp intellect is refreshing. You'd love to figure her out. Let's go for James. You sugar up that smile. And you should find all your things here. You have an hour to unpack and get settled in. Please don't hesitate to ask me if there are any problems at all, or if you find you've forgotten something. Oh, and if anyone needs assistance with their luggage, I'm happy to help. You smile broadly, lock eyes with James, and give him a wink. He looks about with surprise, but then smiles deliciously. And then Grant raises his hand. I'm still feeling a bit tired, maybe from that medicine. If you could help me drag my stuff inside, I'd appreciate it. Well, looks like that's that. James has already started moving on without your help. You turn your attention to Grant squeaking out, "Of course." He waves you off and flops down onto his bed. He's not even going to lift a finger. It's not like the luggage is super light up here, but whatever. You drag in his clothing trunk and place his personal bag onto his desk and turn to him. He's sweaty. Oh no. He stands up and glances about, confused. He's clearly about to be sick again. How do you handle this? First thing, help him to the bathroom, call a steward, call sick bay, escort him to sick bay. Don't really want to be here. I will call a steward. You convey the urgency of the situation to the steward between Grant's gut-wrenchingly loud heaves. The steward seems unaffected, only giving out a quick, "Yeah, sure." Grant lies down on the cold tiles to recover. "Someone's on their way," you report to Grant as he wraps himself around the porcelain fixture. "Oh, good," he mumbles. Then there's awkward silence. Do you chat about anything while you wait? Wow. I think the quiet is fine with me. It's apparently not fine with Grant, who strikes up a conversation. "So, without weather, how do you make small talk on the moon?" He chuckles at his own joke. Great, Grant, great. He chuckles at his own joke, but then sighs heavily. "Oh, I'm sorry. I hate being thought of as a burden, and getting sick now, it's terrible timing. Really, I'm with Synth Play." He waits for a halt. The giant gaming conglomerate? Who buys everything? Well, that must be who's bankrolling the little trip. Synthplay has a special deal with Space Joy, so it's where they hold high-level retreats and conferences, and apparently acquisition deals. He coughs and pauses before continuing. "I'm a consultant there. I like meeting new people, bringing people together, finding ways to make things work, make everyone happy, and I'm really good at my job. That's why they sent me to oversee this acquisition. I can't really afford to drop the ball." Your emotions scatter. Is Collected cashing out? Will they still make games? Well, why sell now? Grant laughs. "Even in my state, I can guess what's going through your mind. Well, I'll let you in on a trade secret. They came to us with a mysterious pitch. Said they needed synth-play level resources. We're just here negotiating a way to accommodate a smooth transition." Some nice meta statements again. Games will stagnate. Fans will hate this. Sounds like a good tactical move. I might reveal my true colours. Fans will hate this. He winces. "Certainly. Fans are opinionated and fickle. But I think that once they see what Synthplay is allowing its future Collected division to do, they'll come round. I'll tell you another trade secret. We'd love to enable Collected to make the beautiful worlds it imagines in its mind. It would do wonders for our image, saving Collected." It sounds a bit idealistic, but his enthusiasm is endearing. The steward arrives. You worriedly peek out into the passageway as they leave, but the doors to the other rooms are closed. Nobody else has noticed Grant's relapse. You flop into a chair with relief, then startle with a realization. Now that Grant's gone, you have a few minutes to radio ahead to sickbay without Grant overhearing. How do you handle their incompetence? Concern for our image. Why not? You anxiously tumble through your report. Grant was still sick, puking his guts out, and I'm worried that it's something serious, so please find the problem as quickly as possible. This looks really bad and scary to all our other guests, and I don't even want to think about the potential damage control if this gets out Earthside. There's a small pause at the other end before the flavour crackle. Listen, motion sickness was the most reasonable conclusion. We screened for infections, cancers, clots, ulcers, everything before they're allowed to come up. We gave him an anti-nausea injection and he felt better. It was really unlikely that he was sick. We'll do additional tests. Ass-covering prick. You think to yourself as the pause goes on longer than you think it should. He continues. Oh yes, please let him in. Listen, the patient is here and I will give him the utmost care. Thank you for your concern. You hope he gets better soon. You only have a small break before you will need to figure out how to distract and entertain the rest of the group. So I will take a break. You've got slightly less than an hour before the first scheduled activity, before you're responsible for the tourists again. This is the sort of time you've long ago learned to carve out for yourself doing basic maintenance. How should you spend the time? I probably played video games enough earlier. I get some exercise. With the lessened gravity, regular exercise is contractually mandatory. Although, since people atrophy into frail skeletons even with disciplined routines, medical technology helps out. You strap testosterone patches around your legs and tie weights to your body. Legs first, squats, kicks, adductions, abductions, heel lifts, you even wiggle your toes. 3, 4, 5, you count the reps. The routine is soothing and you allow yourself to drift. About my life. It's not a terrible life, all things considered. You've had to forego a lot of typical comforts for your term here, but once you return Earthside, you'll be able to make up for that. And you're patient. Plus, it's nice to get some distance from everything. Although, well, it does get tiring how your life feels like it resets every week when a new group of people arrives. It would be nice to get some more permanency in your life. There's one more thing that video games have going for them. At least they save your progress. You switch to your abs and back, doing crunches and lifts straight up, sideways and upside down, then arms and even face and fingers and neck. You match your breathing to the repetitions, focusing on the inhale and exhale. You get into the rhythm and push yourself to lift at a constant rate and avoid slowing down. You glance at a nearby clock. You don't have that much more time until you need to face the tourists. What will you tell them about Grant? Yes, I will maintain the professional facade and say the doctor's pulled him in for a checkup. You finish and tidy up before meeting with the rest of the group. You do your best to appear encouraging and excited and not at all nervous. James asks about Grant. You take a deep breath. Then you politely inform him of the truth. The doctors wanted to see him again to double-check their tests. You could never be too careful after all. James nods in acceptance and the rest of them seem to go with his judgment. Well, that was much easier than you thought, but if he doesn't get better soon, they will get suspicious. So as not to allow them any time for extra questions, you turn about and walk down the passageway to the observatory. They slowly trail behind you. You slather on that smile as you gesture to the nearby telescope booths. They all mill about expectantly. You're anxious to get them distracted again, and all that's left is for you to explain the telescope controls. What kind of instructions do you give them? Purely practical, let them go on their own. Fully detailed, to follow the question. Cool stuff. I think this one. You blast through the basics to get at the good stuff. Press remove cap and the movement works like a regular mouse. There's a list of known coordinates of interest sorted by type of celestial object, but you're interested in exploring, please do. Aim for clusters that are on the denser side, but not too dense, or it can be difficult to distinguish them. Your HUD will show you an exclamation mark if you manage to find something interesting. You then glance over at Ren. Oh, and if you wear glasses, you are welcome to take them off and the machine will auto-adjust for you. You realise you've been racing through the description, so you pause to take a deep breath before continuing. Any questions? No? Great. Go on in there and explore. You herd them as quickly as they will move. Why do tourists always shuffle? You sit in a nearby chair, waiting for the activity to end. It's certainly a lot of fun for the tourists, but there's not much for you to do except wait for them to be done. You pick at a bit of fluff on your outfit. At least you could still manage to be presentable. Then James pokes his head out. Hey, come here, I think I found something. I'd love to see what you found. Sure, just let me put a note where I am. Where I am? What was I doing? The other tourists won't even notice. Sorry, I really shouldn't. Yeah. Let's go for the enthusiasm for James, but be responsible. You follow him into his booth. It's a small closet, to be sure, but there's plenty of room for the both of you. Do remember this was called a lunar romance. I'm still waiting for that. James points excitedly at the view screen. I found an inhabitable planet. Your mouth involuntarily gapes for a moment before you regain your composure. The IR spectroscope readout confirms it. Water, oxygen, nitrogen composition, even a habitable temperature, which is usually the one that dooms other planets. This is pretty fucking amazing. What do you tell James? Let's go for number 3, offer to track the planet for him.
Are you done?
You explain it. It's definitely habitable right now, but who knows what kind of year rotation schedule it has. It might be a lifetime for us, and I do apologise for that slight interruption there. Start that again. You explain it. It's definitely habitable right now, but who knows what kind of year rotation schedule it has. It might be a lifetime for us. And then its winter may be freezing at hundreds below, or its summers may be boiling. Or it might be just fine constantly. We could also let you know if it has moons and estimate its proclivity for asteroid impacts. You trail off, trying to think of any other significant factors. His eyes crinkle in amusement. I feel like you're trying to get me to adopt it. He sighs. Can you imagine owning a planet? What would you even do with yourself? Okay, sorry about that. I am in a room with other people and someone was talking to me. Okay. Do with yourself. Anything I wanted, I guess, is a good answer. He laughs. What a terrifying god you'd make. Earthquakes, hurricanes, crash it into the sun, all at your whim? But then he tilts his head, reconsidering. Well, I guess as long as it was uninhabited, why not have fun? I mean, when you consider the asteroids and storms that plague Jupiter, it never really ended up being a problem, I suppose. Still makes you think how lucky we are. He presses a finger against his temple. You reassure him. It's a toughie. I wish I had the answers. He smiles up at you. Oh, don't worry about it. Thinking about these kinds of things is habit for me at this point. He stands up and pats your shoulder. Listen, thanks for listening to my rambling. It means a lot. He glances back to the screen. I think I should congratulate him. We seem to be underwhelmed here that he's just discovered a planet. You grin widely. Hey, I just want to say again that I think it's really cool that you managed to find something so rare. You're quite the eagle eye. He returns with his own slightly reticent smile. Oh, you flatter me. Well, I'm going to get back to it, but I'll tell you what, I'll let you know if I find another one. You step out, close the door, and stretch. Waiting is a little more exciting knowing that a guest actually found a habitable planet on your watch. You'll probably get extra high reviews from him. Well, provided that the corporate guy turns out okay. Your stomach twists as you remember. Should you check on that situation? Yeah, I'll call in and ask. You glance nervously at the occupied booth as the radio crackles. You turn down the static before the doctor answers. Yeah, listen, I know why you're calling. This time he's actually going to be fine. Anyway, head director Maisel wants to talk with you. You should probably call her instead. Your stomach trembles. That only means trouble. You steel yourself and call up Maisel. She always speaks too loudly into her walkie-talkie. Hey, great timing! You down the volume as she continues. Listen, we need to speak privately in my office. I'll go for option 3. Maisel, of course, disagrees. She insists that you come as soon as someone's there to replace you, then hangs up. This is not the kind of work environment you should be having to deal with. Still, it would be nice if Maisel was taking this grant problem off your hands. Hopefully, that's what this is all about. It only takes a minute or two, but another steward arrives. You offer up your seat and speed off to the security office. You walk in, glancing over to the wall bank of monitors and system controls. You do not envy the job of managing close-quarters quarrels between maintenance, suppliers and stewards, with everyone wearing multiple hats. You always felt a bit guilty being one of the few people assigned a singular focus. There's a small desk that faces the door, but it's mostly ceremonial. You move towards it. Maisel greets you. Sit, sit, sit. You don't even have a chance to make it to the chair before she starts explaining. Hey, so that boy, he's got a flu or something, and it's probably infectious. What? There's a little current. Maisel nods. I'm afraid so. She continues on. The symptoms were suppressed by the anti-nausea medicine. That's why his nausea came back. Sometimes someone sick slips through the test, but you know we can't expose the employee's compromised immune systems to that kind of infection. She pauses and you brace for the inevitable responsibility. We can't lock a synth play guy up, and we can't have them complaining. We gave him long-lasting anti-nausea meds and viral suppressants to both mask the symptoms and lessen the chance of infection spreading. But it's just a band-aid. I've scheduled an early evacuation, but it won't be here for another 2 days. I'm counting on you to keep them all well-behaved and happy during that time. For real? For real. That just figures. You'll probably end up getting sick yourself and then quarantined. Let the steward see how much of a privilege your job is now. What's he got? What am I supposed to do? When will he get better? Yeah. Maisel waves her hand. Oh, who knows? We're just concerned about covering up the symptoms for now. He'll feel better by tomorrow morning. He just needs some sleep right now. Don't worry, he'll get plenty of rest when he gets back planetside. Supposed to do. I don't like her, I suppose. Maisel nods. You're the best of the best. Just do what you always do. Keep them happy, keep them distracted, keep them thinking that it's just a normal vacation. We told him that it may have been a bad reaction to what he ate, and there's no reason to tell him anything different. Now, I know you can do that. Sure. Maisel bows to you. Listen, I'm sorry to be dumping this all on you. I didn't want to have to get you involved, but you're just the person we need to help keep things going smoothly. We don't want to be antagonizing anyone. I'll take care of the rest. Her walkie-talkie starts vibrating, but she ignores it to give you one last bit of encouragement. Don't worry about it. You've got this. She smiles and picks up the device. Their dinner is ready. Round them up, dazzle them. Now I've got to go see that poor boy and personally offer my condolences at the bad meal. Maisel adjusts her tie and brooch, gestures towards the door and leaves in a huff. You can handle this. You can definitely handle this. You just have to keep them busy. All the time. Busy. You relieve the steward who was covering for you. You've got this. You knock on each booth, informing them that the activity is officially over. Each one stumbles out and then is back to tourist crowd milling. Just this time mixed with some eye rubbing. Some of them left their systems running, so you flip the master reset switch. You've got this. Probably. You fixed your face into a sunbeam smile. So, who's hungry? The day one dinner is always high quality. It's where the chefs show off how far spacefaring cuisine has come over the years, thanks to engineered yeasts, specifically designed ventilator ovens, and higher quality ingredients. It will be a diffusing meal once you get them there, but you can just feel their curiosity building. Their silence gives it away. Where is Grant? Why isn't he joining us for dinner? But you need to keep them distracted, focused on having a good time. Your best option at this point is to just smile and nod, smile and nod. But their silence is starting to bug you. Do you break it? I will go for option number 3. You flip around, walking backwards whilst talking. Well, I certainly hope that everyone found something cool out there. I know for certain that James over here found an inhabitable planet. Do you know how difficult those are to find? For the longest time, scientists thought that Earth was the only real inhabitable planet. Well, that was before they improved their spectroscopy techniques. But then they also had to deal with the interference that they hadn't figured out to effectively screen out. But it's always exciting. Imagine traveling to those far off distance realms, isn't it? Maybe encountering a new form of life. I think that would just be the coolest. They all look at each other slowly and nod awkwardly. You can feel it working. They are following your cheerful lead. He's hoping that they just get to enjoy the little bit of time they do have up here. And then it happens. Hey, Phelan, James calls out. Your hair pricks up as he finishes. Are you going to join us again? Your face warms and your face slips into a small but real smile. That's not what you expected. It's certainly not unpleasant though. Maybe there wouldn't be any harm in pressing your luck, in continuing that like everything's normal. Let's take a risk. Everyone opts for the special of the vegetable empanadas and Chilean repli pork ragu. Sounds okay, actually. Ren and Sadri opt for the spicier version. Actually sounds better. You get it all arranged and brought out. They seem pleasantly surprised at the inclusion of real forks, knives, and plates. You carry over the last tray, your tray, and pause. I guess I should... I don't know. I'm kind of liking the I went for the spicier version. Ren looks over the meal, putting aside her device. She turns to you quizzically. All of this is so much better than the lunch. Why even bother with that crap? But you could obviously do better. Sadri apologizes to you. Oh, hey, don't worry about Ren's rudeness. I think it's important to honor the past. Diana flips over the fork in her hand. It's hollow metal, and the balance takes some getting used to. She turns to you. I too am curious what Space Joy thinks we're supposed to get out of the exercise. I know what I got out of it, but what do you think about it? I'll go for that one. Sadri chimes in. I know that I certainly enjoyed getting a chance to try out the old food. It was like, well, a strange roadside picnic, but it made me appreciate their hardships. She smiles and turns intently to her own meal, dumping in the spices. You try not to wince. Diana stares off to the side and quietly remarks, I'll bet at some point in the past, some astronauts murdered each other over that kind of food, blamed it on a malfunction. She cut some of the repli meat pastry to play with, balancing it on her fork. She stares intently at you. Yes, thanks for the official Space Joy reason for the food, but what's your opinion? Is there supposed to be some merit to suffering through terrible food? Semi-honest. Ren adjusts her glasses and hums. Perhaps, but wouldn't it be better just to work towards bettering humanity? Sadri turns. Well, yes, I think that an important part of that is knowledge and outreach, realizing that others are suffering, knowing what it means to suffer yourself and wanting to help those others. God, these guys go deep, don't they? Diana drops her fork in a huff. Well, I think it's a very base view of humanity to say that we need to suffer ourselves to recognize that others should be spared it. I think we could do better than that. Diana slowly dissects her ragu, inspecting it thoroughly. You know, I bet that corporate kid has some insight into the motivations, marketing or cost saving or whatever. They all look over at his empty chair. You tense up. Here it comes. Diana waves your nerves away. Oh, no, nothing like that. I've been thinking about him being sick, but like it's a story, like he needs to get sick and die to motivate the protagonist. That's pretty mess up, though, I suppose. Motivations for what? Diana waves her hand. Oh, you know, to get some sort of revenge, to find the evildoer, to set things right. It's not all that deep, I will admit. Sadri speaks up. I don't like that, you know, treating him like he's an object. Her voice slowly trails off. It doesn't feel... She bounces upturned hands as though searching to fill in the last word. Good. Diana puts down a spoonful of filling. Oh, of course, I mean we have storyboard standards, but well, people get sick in real life, and it does affect others. How about this? If the game was played from the perspective of the sick man, accomplish your last goal before you croak. Ren clicks her tongue. That sounds even worse. Then sips some hot tea from a ceramic mug. Sadri waves. Oh, I think it could make for some amazing game mechanics. Maybe a time limit, and each threshold you cross, you lose your abilities. You have to move about and complete tasks before you become unable to do so. Diana frowns. That sounds a bit more of a platformer than I had originally intended, but I suppose something like that would work. Ren glances up from a bowl of soup. It would be a fun project to blend the player's skin from healthy to ill. I definitely enjoyed the different textures using creatures. Diana looks towards you. Now the important part. What kind of goals would the sick man have? What's so important that he needs to accomplish it before dying? Like a bit of revenge. We'll have to wrap up soon. I'm hoping to find a natural conclusion. We seem to be deep in a conversation here. Ren grins. I think that's the most poetic, and it would make an amazing piece of art. Sadri points down at the table. Well, yes, but what if you're not dying from a murder or malice, just dying slowly from some disease or old age? Diana rests her chin against her palm. That's the thing, isn't it? There's no reason or cause for our eventual death. We just slowly break down until we stop working, and it's nobody's fault. That's the most cruel ending of all. Sadri crunches up her nose. The problem is the bad endings. Nobody likes bad endings. Let's go in here. Okay, good. You press it home. Platformers, casual games, puzzle games, they don't have story. They just let you switch off your brain. Diana looks taken aback. I personally only have my brain for a limited time. I plan not to waste any of it on something so frivolous. Sadri shrugs. I don't know. I like it. It feels soothingly repetitive. And I like it when things just make sense and all fall into place together. Ren finishes the last of her water. It's easy and fun, but I agree that there's something hollow about it. I don't really feel satisfied. I never feel like I reach a good stopping point. You realise somewhat suddenly that everyone's finished. You spring to, somewhat embarrassed at being caught off guard. You revert quickly into professional mode, solidifying your smile. I hope everybody enjoyed dinner. Now there's an hour of free time and then it's lights out for the rest of the staff. You are free to stay up, of course, and if you need anything at all, you pause a little longer than necessary. I will always be on call. The tourists filter out and thank you for the delicious food. Now it is time to focus on the dishes, and then your time is your own. That bad ending has been bothering you all day, and you'd really like to figure it out before the designers leave. All right then, that was part 3 of Creatures Such As We. Sorry, part 2 of Creatures Such As We. We will come to part 3 next week. This is always the interesting thing with these kind of interactive fiction ones. We never really know how long it's going to take. 3 parts seems to be about average, but we'll see. So, join me next week. I am going to be rescheduling these sessions to different days, actually. So keep an eye out on Twitch or YouTube, wherever you're watching, to catch those new dates. And if you enjoyed this, I hope you watched part 1 first. Otherwise, it's not going to make a lot of sense. And you can find some others that I've done. And you can also find some of my other streams and videos on YouTube and on my website, christianschiller.com, to find the various Twitch links too. And I hope you enjoyed the story. And I look forward to you all joining me again next week.